back to the Would-Be Carpenter Shop. My name is Donald, and today we're going to be working on this early 20th century ash and burl two-tier dumbwaiter. It's basically a curbside find. It was going to be thrown away, so I decided to save it. I apologize for the length of the piece ahead of time. It's just been quite a process. I trimmed it down as much as I could, but it's still a good length. So I hope you enjoy it. The little spline is dried out back here, and it's split big time, so I'm going to glue that up so that I have a straight leg. In the meantime, I'm just clamping this piece on here to give me an idea where I need to cut the piece off at the very end. I'll use the rough cut piece I clamped on to create a foot for the piece that's missing. I'll mark it about 3 inches up to create a spine as an attachment point. Now that I have all the measurements, I'll cut it out and get it prepared for attachment. Here I'm showing you the spline that'll attach up into the broken leg. Now I'll cut the slot that'll accept the foot into the table leg. Just trying to imitate this here. I'll sand it out and darken it up. Yes. Here I'm pulling the old broken dowels, and I'm going to replace them with new dowels and fix the leg on right now. Just here, I'm going to be working on the very top tier. It has the brass going around, and I'm going to be taking it off. And right now, I'm taking off a metal tape that someone had meticulously wrapped around there and taped it back together to repair it at one time, I guess. So I'm just taking it all apart to where I could do a proper repair on it. I'm going to be using a product called Old Brown Glue. It is hide glue already made up in the bottle. Here I'm just prepping my block, putting some non-stick tape on it, or actually just putting masking tape would work too. That way I can press this side up against the glue so it'll come off easy so the board won't stick to it. Just make sure that it fits over the whole piece that you're going to glue, and that it doesn't have a opposite curve to what your flat side is. So try to get as flat a piece of wood as you can that fits down tight, because it's going to be pressing it down and hold it down. And next I'm just taking, since this is so dirty, I'm just taking and cleaning it up with a little bit of warm water and a rag. Careful not to flake off any of the loose veneer. I also forgot to mention wax paper works really good under your block as well. And then the process of putting the glue in, I put it in very, very heavy. I can clean it up later. It cleans up really easy with soap and water, or even just warm water and a rag. I use that little spatula mixing blade for oil paints and stuff. I use that for sliding that glue underneath there. It works really well because you have full control with the handle. It's like a razor blade, so you can really get it into tight spots and make sure that you get a good secure gluing. I got this tip from watching Thomas Johnson restoring antiques on YouTube. The guy is fantastic, and I've got to tell you, I've learned a lot from him. So if you get a chance, check them out. Thomas Johnson's Antique Furniture Restoration. These are just holding clamps. Okay, I'm moving on to the bottom tier now. Just here, I'm taking off the outside. It's put together with finishing nail, the right nail, and some other weird kind of brad. So, thankfully, it's in pretty good shape. Here I've decided to use a scraper since the finish was just about powdered anyway, and it worked really well. Be careful of the edges, if there's any loose veneer, it'll pull it right off. I'm just going to run over it gently. Yeah, some type of water stain in it. I'm going to use some exolic acid on that. I can see this here. This is in the shape of a glass or something round. That's what we'll do with that. This one. Let me take a look and see what it's going to look like, huh? I put a little mineral spirits on there just to clean it up a little bit and just kind of get an idea if that stain was going to stay in it. And I think it is, because I can still see it here. So we'll probably hit it with a little bit of exolic acid. Exolic acid is a wood bleach. Usually I use it for dark spots, but I've used it for varying colors in it, like this, with the two different colors, even a light spot, water spot, and it just bleaches the wood. Usually I mix 100 grams per liter of water, and I usually boil the water or get it pretty hot out of the tap, and it works its best then. Just here, I'm saturating the board with a wet rag of exolic acid, and sometimes I'll use a brush, sometimes I'll use a rag. I don't know that it makes a difference. I haven't seen a difference, but yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the application as long as you're getting it on there and making sure that it's nice and hot, because it does make a difference. They recommend it be really hot going on to penetrate that wood, to get into the stain. And I want to saturate this really, really good and let it dry. Well, good morning. Let's wash this thing down. It's really important that you wash it down, because if you go to sanding on this, again, that sanding dust gets up in your eyes and in your nose, and it burns, and it's very uncomfortable and probably not too good for you. So make sure you rinse it off really well with some clean, clear water. Though it did help a little, it didn't take it completely out. I can still see a little bit in there, but it's not it's not too bad. Because this is so dark when it's got the finish on it, I may just leave it like it is and then just touch up the cigarette mark. I'm going to let this dry until later on to make sure it's good and dry. Let's get on to the legs. Let's take these off. Very nice. Very nice. You know, I have a little bit of patch to do on that. It wasn't one of my greatest greatest attachment jobs, but yeah, I should have took a little bit more time with it. But for now, we'll do the best we can. Set this one aside. This all needs to be filled in here. Like I said, I have some color matching to do, but that ain't bad. Lunch. Kind of sloppy on there, but it'll sand off real nice. I said it can't be any worse than what it was when we started, right? Fill that in a little bit better. The height came out perfect, and everything's really good on it. And this one was repaired, the other one here, and the legs stiffened up on there pretty good. So we'll set this aside and let it dry. All right, let's see what we got here. Amen, it did. Okay. Water on that. The beautiful thing about hide glue is it just wipes right off with a little bit of ribbon. Oh man, it turned out nice. That really turned out good. I mean, as you can see, it held it down really well. So very pleased with that. Didn't see that yesterday. There's some damage on the side where the band was, so just some more goodies to fix. All right, now that it's dried, I'm gonna go ahead and scrape the top. Just here, I'm going real light with a block and some 220. All right, I just wiped it down with some mineral spirits just to kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like and clean it up a little bit. It has a couple of nicks on the edge. Looks like a mahogany veneer, and then this burly looking veneer here in the middle. I don't know if I have any of that. I might have to search around a little bit. It's just that one spot. All right. Well, I don't have any burl scraps or even anything that resembles this. So I'm going just to hand paint them. Decided I'm going to clean this out. Okay. Okay, we'll let that dry and see how she looks tomorrow. Well, I'm just I'm going to do this probably off camera, but I'm just showing you I'm using the scraper straight down this side. And I took the scraper and cleaned these off all the way around. So I'll show you what I'm doing now. Just here I'm putting some wood conditioner on it. I'll let it soak in as much as I can, and then I'll wipe off the excess like it recommends on the can. I'm gonna let this dry overnight. Now it's time to prep and scrape the top tier. I'm being real careful not to scrape outward so that I don't pull the veneer up. So I'm kind of scraping from outside in, as careful as I can. I'm taking a little 220 out off the edge of this, just trying to with a maple block so that I can get that corner back on the edge of the chips. I want it to be nice and sharp there, so when the edging goes back on, I'll put a finish over to protect it, but for now I just want it nice and sharp. The outside is almost done. Still a few places that have some rough finish on it. I'm using a little bit of 400 on the center. I'm using a little 400 on the outside. It doesn't matter if I go with the grain on the 400 because it's not going to leave any sweat. Do not sweat on your projects. I have ruined a few good projects spraying finishes and then dripping sweat on the tabletops. Talk about angry. Oof, frustrating. Okay. Just here, I'm getting ready to seal the top with some wood conditioner. Okay, soak this really good so that it penetrates, and I'll wipe it off. Pretty little thing in it. Okay, just gonna wipe this evenly. That's it. Let's get to stripping them legs down. All right, let's do it. Days later. All right, it turned out really good. It's all down to the bar of wood. The repair is a lot lighter, but I fix it later with some dye stain. Here I'm just cleaning up the bottom of the top tier. And here I'll finish stripping the post. Now all I'm going to do is the beginning and the very end so that you don't have to watch the whole thing. It was quite a process. Here I'm setting up to put on the wood conditioner and get everything all sealed up. The legs and the posts, I've decided to use shellac to seal it. That way I can put the polyurethane right over that and everything will be fine. Just here I'm using a darker walnut stain. I'm also getting up underneath where I did some patchwork. Okay, we'll let this dry for the night. I know, princess. All right, the shellac dried up really nice overnight. I'm getting ready to knock it down with a little bit of 600 just to take the nits and everything, make it smooth and get it prepped for the polyurethane. This one too is just the beginning and the end. Hey, princess. So I'm taking some dye stain and just running it along this rim right here where it's really chewed up, and it's several different colors, shades of color, so I'm just going to try to make it consistent. So now what I want to do is put some filler on this, and that can be drying overnight. All right, I'll let that harden up and then I'll shape it. It'll be good. All right, now my wife went ahead and touched up the spots that were on here, and you can't tell at all. Looks really good. The cigarette spot and the spot that was on there. I mean, you can probably see if you look, turn it around here a little bit, but for the most part, I can get it in the shine. See the shine? Okay. And really, whoops, sorry. It's really actually very difficult to see. So she did a great job. Awesome. Let me get my gun. Set up and we'll get with it. Well, we had a little problem. The tone, something in the paint, in the acrylic paint, turned colors when I sprayed it. This one came out really good. Design and everything. Yeah. Even the cigarette burn is pretty well hidden. First coat of polyurethane. All right, I'm going to walk you through polishing up this metal. I'm going to try to make it quick because it took some hours to do it. It was a pretty heavy coating of stuff and corrosion that was on there, and I sanded the inside and polished it up so it looked like new again, and it worked out really well. But I'm just going to give you a quick glimpses of what I did. This has been sitting for about a week. The finish has gotten pretty tough. So I'm gonna give it a shot of sanding it, the little nits and the bumps, because it's a pretty porous type of wood. So there's little raised bumps all over it. So let's see if we can't get those down. I'm gonna be wet sanding it as well, just a section at a time. I just took up a piece of veneer. Yep, have to hang on to that, put it back on. I didn't want that to happen, but stuff happens. Which way this goes? This way. Back in while I still have them. Okay. Let that dry. All right, now it's the top's turn. It turned out real nice, but I'm going to do it one more time. It's working really well so far. This isn't necessary to hit the back because it's got a lot of nits on it. This part's going to be underneath the table, and you won't be able to see it, but I just wanted to clean it up a little bit. All right, a couple days ago, I took and I did some stuff to this, and I'm going to tell you, I did a couple things wrong. So I'm going to tell you what I did and tell you what I'm doing to fix it. That way, if you ever run into that problem, you can do the same. So the first thing that I did wrong was when I took this apart and I was wet sanding with 2000 to get this top smoothed out to put a final coat on. I hit it with the sander, and I had to put down some of the, I'm just pulling this up for the first time, and it went down, if you remember, this went down really well. So, and how to clean that is hot water, and the water is it's like 80, 90 degrees right now inside the shop, so perfect. So this should just come right, this is hide glue, and hide glue just cleans up with water. Okay, so there's a small spot here where it chipped out. I didn't find that piece, but the rest of it went down really well. So that was one of the things that I messed up that I fixed, and I'm going to have to put some more filler in there and then paint it. The other thing was, and I didn't notice it, and I hear everybody always saying when you sand in between coats and you have a lot of pores in there, make sure you do your best to clean out those pores, especially on dark wood. I didn't clean it out that well. I wiped it down once and didn't really pay attention to it, and I normally do. Normally I'm really picky, but this time I just didn't. And it was filled with little white pieces. You know how it turns white when you sand it? All that was in here, and then I put another coat right on top of it. And I didn't notice it until I got a good look at it after I did the wet sanding. The wet sanding really brought it out, and it was under the finish. So what I did, and I'm gonna have to redo it again, but what I did is I got a neutral, the red mahogany stain, the light, and it was the same color as this, and I just went over it real quick, and it instantly stained all of those little white things back to regular color, thank goodness. So that's kind of a good save. I still got to do another really light sanding on here. I'm going to wipe it down again, and then if it's not showing those white spots on there, I'm going to put a nice finish on it. The other thing was on this one, okay, these are my goof ups. This one, I went ahead and sanded it, and you can see it came out really well, but you didn't see this right here. This right here, the wood, somehow when I was wet sanding, water got underneath a piece of it. I don't know how. I have several coats on here. Anyway, it peeled up the veneer, and I had little fish lips, and so I had to re-glue it, put it down, and put some filler on it, and then I just got done sanding this piece again, so it's ready to go as far as getting the finish. Okay, and I'll show you what it's going to look like, and you'll see what I mean. It is ready to finish, though. We're getting there. See, just on that one, let me get the whole thing here. I need to kind of. There's a couple spots that needed some attention. And here, this one came out a little bit lighter, so I'll have to darken that up a little bit before I put the last coat on. And then this little piece here, and then it should be good to go. And it looks really good. Let's see. This one is going to be, when I go over it, I'm going to see if I'm kind of just working the stain a little bit, reworking it, as you can see. So if I can do that, wipe a lot of that off, and it still stays clean and the white spots are gone, I'll put a finish on it. If not, I'll wipe it down, wipe it off with stain, and redo it. But I'll walk you through when I do it. I'll bring you along, that way you know what's going on. In case you run into it, you'll know what to do. All right? Here I'm giving it another sanding with 600. It's still got a lot of little grain pits in it, so I'm trying to get it to where I can take it back down and get a smooth glass look to it. And we will at the end. And here is a very gentle wet sanding. All right, I think we're ready for another coat. Looking good. All right, this is kind of what it looks like with that last coat I just put on. It's kind of hard to see. All right, that's it. Okay, let's let it dry, see what turns out. All right, you can see by the reflection, a lot of this is come out. See how a little wavy in there. You can see the reflection of the tools in the top of this. So I have a little bit to fix. I have this little piece here and little nits. I think I'm going to hit it one more time and give it a light coat, and that'll be the last coat on that. This one here, I still have maybe a couple more coats to go because I can still see the grain popping through on the finish. Getting close though. And then as far as the bottom turned out really good. And I would have left this as the last coat, but it's a lot lighter than the rest of it. The rest of it has a red color to it. So I'm going to sand this with 600 to rough it up. I'm going to go over it really lightly with a brown mahogany, and then put another finish on it and get it the same color. Let me see if I can zip over there, but you can see the bottom of that. I didn't put any stain or anything on that, but it just happens to be a lot darker than this. So we'll try to get them to match, and that way it looks good. So I'll bring you along. I'll show you what I'm going to do. Alrighty, light sanding just to get the next finish to grab on. Just here, I'm putting some brown mahogany on the feet to help it to match the rest of it. Now I'll wipe it down with a clean cloth just to get the excess off. Now I let this dry for a few hours, and then I'm spraying the feet with a little bit of brown mahogany toner. Okay, here's a little bit of a closer look. Let's see these feet. See the different color in it. It's a lot redder now. It's much better. All right, basically, that's it. I'll show you after I get a finish on it. I couldn't help but give it a quick preview. And it's looking pretty good. Here I've hit it with the 600 again, trying to get those pits out of it. It did really well, and I'm going to go over it another time here with a little bit of wet sand in and the 2000 paper. See how much those have disappeared now? That looks really good. So I'll let you see what it looks like after I get a finish on it. All right, now it's the top's turn. Now I can still see some low spots in it, especially around the edges, so it looks like I'm going to have to do it again. See it on here. See this right here where it's shiny? That's all. Oh, that looks really good. Fantastical. Now that is pretty much flattened the whole top. I don't know if you can see that. There's very few little shiny spots. You know what? I think that is going to be perfect. Because if I do any more, I know I'm going to mess it up. So I'm just going to quit while I'm ahead. Oh, that feels so nice. Okay. Cool deal. All right, let's get these finishes put on here. All right, here's the last coat. Thank you, Princess. Princess says it was beautiful. All right. Let that dry and we'll put her together. Okay, now I'm getting ready to put the back bottom brace on, and before I do, I put that in a place where it shouldn't be. So this is just a brace on the bottom. The glue is just to hold it in place. Not to get all over. Okay, I think that's gonna be it right there. Now I'm taking a little bit of 4/0 steel wool and a little bit of beeswax, feed and wax. It's a wood polish and conditioner by Howard. Great stuff. Now I'm just got some on here. I'm just going over this lightly. I'm going to take the shine off the bottom and kind of make it all even. And then that's how we'll leave that. The top will have a heavy gloss on it. I'm not pushing very hard, but I can feel it cutting into the surface. That's all I want, just to make it even. wipe this down. Oh, that turned out really nice. Yes, yes, yes. All right, I'm gonna put the same on the top, underneath the bottom of the top piece. Just a splash of the bead and wax stuff, good stuff. With a 4/0 steel wool. I'm just gonna hit this bottom just to knock off that shine so it doesn't look so fakey. And it kind of, the overspray and stuff, when I was spraying that I didn't spray directly on the bottom, it kind of left a fog. This will take that off as well and make it all look even, is what I'm hoping. That's my goal. Get that even look on it. Take this one off. And we've got to do something to clean these marks out of here. So, all right, I went ahead and found just a piece of cardboard off a cookie box. Just goes in and just kind of cleans that up. And then when I go to wax it, I'm gonna brush wax down inside there. So that did it. All right, it's time to nail on the galleries. So here we go. Here's the pins, and they're actually dated pins. So they're off of a different project around the same era. I'm just gonna take, the ends are really dull, so I'm just gonna take and hit them on a stroke. That turned out absolutely perfect. Really turned out nice. Just here I'm getting the brass nail head shined up. All right, we're ready to go. Okay. Well, that turned out really nice too. All I have to do now is glue the post on and the table on the bottom on, and she's done. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please like and subscribe.